Hey everybody, and welcome back to Lindsay's Little Library. So I thought I would come on here and wrap up my 2017 stats. This year was a phenomenal year for reading for me. It was crazy. So I jumped on the BookTube bandwagon and gave that a whirl and love it. Not going anywhere, and thank you for everyone who has subscribed to my channel and supported me along the way. It's a pretty awesome journey, and it gives me an opportunity to really share my love for books. So 2017 again was a great year. I read 76 books this year. That's the most I've probably ever read in a year. It was kind of crazy, but I loved it. And because I read so many books, I have a lot of 5-star reads. I think I have like 22 5-star reads. So I was going to try to whittle it down to maybe my top 10 or something, but I just can't. And my kind of criteria for a 5-star read is, am I going to recommend this to a lot of people? Am I continuing to think about this book even days, months, weeks later? Kind of determines whether it's a 5-star read. So can I compare all of these books to each other? No, because they're all different. I read all over the board. But I'm definitely, I continue to recommend them to people, and I can't stop thinking about them. So they make my 5-star read list, and because telling people about my 5-star reads is number one, I can't whittle it down to less than all of my 5-star reads. So sorry it's gonna be long, stick with me. I will try to go as quickly as I can. So I'm gonna start with kind of my self-help books first and get those out of the way. I don't have to say too much about them, but the first one is You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. Awesome book. Listen to it on audio on my way to work every day, and I need to do that regularly because it totally gets you pumped up. It totally helps you get in the right frame of mind to either make the changes you want to make, keep going on the road you're going. Motivation galore in this book. It's fabulous. Can you see all the little tabs I have in here? That's how good it is. I don't tab a lot of books, but awesome book. So if you're looking for something to kind of give you a pick-me-up, especially at the beginning of the year, pick up You Are a Badass, because you are. So the next book that I have was something that I was facilitating at my work and ended up falling in love with this book. It is The Kindness Challenge by Shanti Feldhahn. It is a 30-day challenge purely based around kindness, and you're given 3 actions to complete every single day, and it really puts you in the right frame of mindset as far as being grateful, knowing where your blessings are, and just leading with a kind heart, which honestly we just need more of, I think, everywhere you go. So it put me in a really great place. I totally challenged myself to react with situations in a kind way and with a kind heart. That doesn't mean I let people take advantage of me or I let situations get out of hand. You can be kind and still stand up for yourself. You can be kind and still be in those situations, and it is a total challenge. I highly recommend this. It's great, and again, it's something I need to visit on an annual basis. Alright, the next ones I have, again, not in any particular order, and some of the books I don't have with me, so I'll just briefly talk about them, because I am notorious for my 5-star reads being books I've borrowed from other people. Which you would think I would stop buying books then, but no, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. In fact, I have a book haul coming up. I'm patiently waiting for my Instagram Secret Santa box to come. I have yet to receive mine, or Bookstagram Secret Santa exchange that I was part of. It's a huge Secret Santa exchange through Instagram. I haven't gotten mine yet, and I'm kind of bummed about it, but I'm gonna give it another day or so, and then if it's not here, I'm just gonna have to do my end of year book haul anyway, so stay tuned for that. If you watch my December wrap up at all, you will know that The Life She Was Given is in there by Ellen Marie Wiseman. This follows a little girl named Lily in her kind of experience growing up. Her parents basically kept her locked in the house and was not allowed to leave until one night her mom takes her out and sells her to the circus. So you follow her life growing up in the circus, as well as 20 years later, another relative, Julia Blackwood, and her adventures kind of inheriting Blackwood Manor and then learning about the secrets of the past. So, wow. If you love circus books, you will love this book. It's awesome. Next one I have is Caraball by Stephanie Garber. This is a fantasy book based around two sisters who go to Caraball. It's a magical carnival that you can either play or be kind of part of it as a character, or you can watch it. They've been wanting to go to Caraball for like their whole childhood. They finally get the opportunity to go. One of the sisters goes missing, and the other sister has to figure out, is this part of the game or is this something that really happened? Totally has you thinking the whole time. I kept wondering, I'm like, is this part of the game or did this really just happen? Is this part of the game or, oh my gosh, it's mind-blowing. It's awesome, and it ends on such an awesome cliffhanger. I cannot wait for the second book to come out, which I believe is this year, so I will snatch that up right away. Awesome book. Next one I want to talk about is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is a book I borrowed from a friend of mine that I could not put that thing down. I read that so quickly. It follows Evelyn Hugo and her life and what she did to become famous. So she was a famous Hollywood actress, like #1 in the gig, most beautiful woman, wonderful. Everyone adored her and loved her, and she was married 7 times. And so it's broken up by husband, and you find out why she married every single one of them. You find out kind of her secrets and what she's trying to hide, which was amazing. And it's set back, I want to say like 1950s, so totally like glamour Hollywood. It reminds me a little bit of Elizabeth Taylor, not gonna lie. But fabulous book, totally picked that one up. The next book that I want to talk about is, of course, I don't really need to explain it all that much, Harry Potter. My daughter and I read this together. She read most of it over the summer, and of course 5 stars for me. We don't even have to go any further, but I loved the fact that she enjoyed it as much as I did, and she's totally all over Harry Potter right now. My next 5-star read was a little surprising for me, honestly. It was Tumbleweeds by Lila McCam. This follows a group of 3 friends growing up. I believe it was in the 80s, maybe? But kind of reminds me of like Friday Night Lights, so there's a little bit of high school football involved, and one of the friends makes a really bad decision, and then they kind of have to cover it up for them, and it follows them kind of growing up and having this secret and having this past and dealing with it. Really great book. Totally had me hooked the entire time, and this thing's pretty thick. I will definitely pick up another Lila McCam book again. I love the writing. I love the characters. Fell in love with them. The plot was great. The twists and turns were fantastic. Pick it up. It's great. Another 5-star read was The Never Lists by Kathy Zahn. Horrible with author names. But this is based around 2 friends who have a list of things that they are never going to do. They are going to play it safe when they go to school because they don't want anything bad to happen to them. They're going to be super cautious and like triple lock everything, always looking around corners, like really safe kids. They go to a party, they're not super happy there, so they decide to get an Uber to leave, and the Uber that picks them up kidnaps them. So they're kind of held hostage in a basement, and I don't know if I can tell you much more for that, but it's an awesome book. Flew through that one as well. Next one I have that I cannot stop talking about is Behind Her Eyes by Sarah Pinborough. This is another psychological thriller, and just go into it blind. That's all I have to tell you. I don't even want to tell you anything about it. Just read the book and don't stop, because I want to say the last like 2 chapters is what makes it over the top good. So phenomenally good. Pick it up. Next book is another one I borrowed, Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. This is about a man who is a physicist who figures out that basically anytime we are faced with a decision, our world kind of splits. So we are faced with a decision. If we say yes, here's this path. If we say no, here's this path. And he figures out a way that you can jump between those parallel universes, and he does that. So cool. Totally science fiction, but I'm not a huge science fiction person, and I didn't feel lost. I completely followed along with all of the scientific parts of it. You do just kind of have to give it the benefit of the doubt, because I mean, this stuff can't happen, but you just go with it, just like you were in a fantasy novel. So really great book. It's just awesome. Pick it up. Next one I have is another psychological thriller. This is Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris. It is about a couple, what are their names? Jack, I think, and Grace. And they seem to have the perfect life. Like, they are the Joneses that everyone's keeping up with, right? But not so much. You start to learn a little bit about what happens behind closed doors, and you find out, oh my gosh, not even close to the perfect life. In fact, it is a very messed up, screwed up life. Yeah, and I'm gonna leave it at that. That's all you need to know. Just pick it up, go into it. Let's see. Next book I have is The Wife, the Maid, and the Mistress by Ariel Lawhon. Awesome book, awesome historical fiction based in the 1930s, and it's based around a true story. So Judge Joseph Carter goes missing in New York City, and he's just gone. No one knows what happened to him. No one knows if he's dead or alive. He's just gone. So you go through this mystery from the wife's eyes, from the maid's eyes, and from the mistress's eyes. And so Judge Joseph Carter Joseph Crater was a true. He really did go missing in New York City. This is just her take on what she thinks may have happened. Keep that in mind. But I love where she went with it. Awesome book. Can't stop talking about this. Pick this one up. The next one, again, I can't stop talking about is Fierce Kingdom by Jen Phillips. Oh my gosh. So this is about a mom who takes her son to the zoo after school one day. It's something that they do pretty regularly. He's about 4 or 5 years old, and as they're getting ready to leave, gunmen kind of take over the zoo. So they need to hide and survive, basically, these gunmen. So, wow, edge of my seat, totally full of suspense, full of action. There were times I had to put this down at night because I'm like, I'm not going to sleep if I keep reading this. I think it disturbed me more because I have a 4-year-old little boy, and so I kept picturing him and thinking about, like, how would I even explain what's going on? How do I keep him quiet? How do I do any of this stuff? And so she was going through those same thoughts. So it was just crazy. Awesome book. Another 5-star read for me is Walk on Earth a Stranger by Ray Carson. This is a young adult historical fiction / fantasy book that follows Lee. Yep, I have to check my characters' names. I get them all confused. Lee, who she is right at the beginning of the gold rush that's kind of happened in the United States, and she has this magical ability to sense where gold is. So her parents knew about it, and they would use it, but they didn't want anybody else to know about it, obviously. So they would use it to kind of survive, but not to be, like, overboard. She survives a bit of a tragedy and sets out on her own and decides to head for California. Awesome book, full of action. Love the historical elements of it. Loved the fantastical elements about it. Lee is one badass girl. Absolutely adore her, love her. I cannot wait to continue with this series. So, great book. What's my next one? Here we go. Next one, Big Little Lies by Leanne Moriarty. I fell in love with Leanne Moriarty this year, and I cannot wait to continue reading her books next year. But this one centers around a small town and a group of kindergarten kids and their moms and the drama that goes along with that, right? It's crazy. There's a bit of somebody dies, but you don't know who did it or how it happened. So you start off knowing something happened, and then you kind of go through the time before it actually happened and learn about what it is. And at one point, you suspect every single one of them. I mean, every single one of them has a motive for killing this person. So, great book. Couldn't put it down. Awesome. Pick that one up. My next book that I have, I obviously don't have it with me. Actually, I borrowed it to a friend because 5-star reads. I borrow them to everybody. They're great. It was Everything by Nicolette Yoon. This book centers around a girl who is literally allergic to everything. So she kind of has to live in a bubble in her own apartment, and she can never go outside. Anything that comes into the house kind of has to be sanitized or put in like a compression chamber before can even come in because she's so allergic to things. And then she has a new neighbor move in next door, and so they start communicating through windows, and she kind of gets to know him through that, and kind of develop a little bit of a relationship. So really great young adult book, super short but full of a really great story. So pick that one up. Another book that I absolutely love this year, and it wouldn't be a great year without a Colleen Hoover book on my list, was Too Late. And this is actually written by C. Hoover because it's a little outside of her normal range of writing. I love this book, and I know there's going to be some haters out there because there's definitely some problematic stuff with this book. I agree, but that's what makes it a good book. Totally not her normal, so if you've never read Colleen Hoover before, I would suggest don't start with Too Late because that's not her normal, her normal kind of book. Nor is Without Merit, so if you're going to start with a Colleen Hoover book, go with like maybe Someday or Ugly Love, something like that. Not this one. But this centers around a character named Sloane, and she's in a pretty nasty relationship, and you find out why she has to stay in that relationship. Of course, there's a bit of a romance involved. There's a ton of drama, a ton of action, a bunch of secrets and lies, and it's awesome how it all comes out in the end. So pick that one up. It's great. Only if you've read Colleen Hoover before, though. Got it. Next one, we're getting to the end, only a few more left. Of course, I have to pull this one up for my 5-star read, is A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. Oh, this whole series. This is the Court of Thorns and Roses series. It is a continuation of the story. I can't tell you a whole lot about it because I would totally ruin the series, but lots of action, lots of adventure. Probably some of the best battle scenes I've ever read are in here. Oh, my tabs fell out. I had a couple of tabs in here because it's so awesome. I love the entire series. I love how it ended. I love these characters, and I'm super excited for this world will continue on. It'll just follow different characters, not necessarily the two that are the main focus of this book. So pick up the whole series. You won't be disappointed. It's awesome. Next one that I have, again, I borrowed out to a friend of mine, but I read The Shack by William Paul Young. Oh my gosh, I still cannot stop thinking about that book. Wow. I have so many post-it notes in that book, so many things highlighted in that book. I absolutely loved it. It centers around a man who went through a very tragic experience. I don't know how much I can tell you, honestly. And he's basically really having a hard time accepting what happened, and so he throws it out there to God, and God invites him up to the shack for a weekend to just hang out, and he does. And it's so cool. It's so cool. Next 5-star read is Lilac Girls by Martha Hall Kelly. Of course, I'm going to throw World War II historical fiction in my 5 stars, right? This follows 3 characters, a Polish woman, a German woman, and an American that kind of experienced World War II. It goes through how they are connected to each other. It's awesome. I got to, one of the women, the German woman, is a doctor at a concentration camp, so you kind of got to see that side of things, which was just so fascinating because I just want to know how somebody can justify doing that stuff to another human being and being okay with it, and you get a glimpse of that in here. It's awesome. I listened to this on audio. I would highly recommend that because you get a better understanding of like their names and the places and then the accents with each woman. It's awesome. Pick this up. It's great. My other 5-star World War II historical fiction is Between Shades of Grey by Ruta Sepetys. This follows a family who is arrested by the Soviets. They live in Lithuania. And very interesting side of World War II that I wasn't totally aware of or knew a whole lot about is these kind of countries that are caught between Hitler trying to take over Europe and Stalin trying to move in. They're right in between all of that, and so they're kind of stomped on by both sides. Her family's arrested by the Soviets and taken away in the middle of the night, and it follows her journey. It goes back and forth in time, so you kind of get a glimpse as to why they were arrested and what happened beforehand and how they survived. Awesome, awesome, awesome book. Pick that up. And then the last one happens to be, so this was my last 5-star read of the year and the last book I read this year. And this was the first book I read this year, also a 5-star read. Small Great Things by Jodi Picoult. This follows a nurse. Let me just check what her name is, because I don't ever remember. Ruth Jefferson. She's a labor and delivery nurse. She's been that. She's done that for the last 20 years. She is at one of the major hospitals, and does this take place like, I can't tell you what city. But she's African American, and she goes in to help a woman who's in labor, and they are white supremacists, and basically tell the head nurse, like, do not let that woman touch me or my child. Ruth doesn't understand why the hospital went along with it. She's pretty offended by that. She's got the most experience ever on the whole entire floor. She's like the best nurse up there. She's put in a position where she's alone with the child in the room, and the child is in distress. So she has to face the, do I follow what my boss tells me and not touch this child, or do I help a child that I know I can help and potentially save his life? So, wow. And then the whole aftermath of what happens after that. Jodi, in true Jodi style, makes you think and makes you question your own values, your own beliefs, makes you question what you would have done in that situation. I have no clue. It's unbelievable. I literally read this January of 2017, and I still think about this on a daily basis. It is an awesome, awesome book. But of course it is, because it's Jodi, and she's just amazing. So there you have it. My 5-star reads for 2017. I hope you pick some up. Let me know if any of your 5-star reads match my 5-star reads. Leave a comment below. And yeah, here's to great things in 2018, and I will see you next time. Bye.